celiac disease has been flagged and I need to get my child tested for celiac disease, but what does that actually mean? So what do I need to do to get my child tested for celiac disease? What's the first point of call? And then also, are there any things I need to make sure that I check off to confirm a diagnosis?
I guess you need to go through your GP for that initial, they're initially the gatekeepers for getting those tests done, but you would, if your child is already on a gluten-free diet, they really, really need to have that gluten back in the diet and sufficient amounts of gluten in order for those tests to be worthwhile doing and to actually,
because I guess celiac disease, like it's the one autoimmune disorder that you can cure entirely by eating a gluten-free diet. So if you're not eating gluten, those tests are never going to be accurate.
And now we're looking at around about 8 weeks, and depending on
Do you mean 8 weeks in the lead up?
8 weeks of consuming a reasonable amount of gluten. Okay. So we'd say around about 4 slices of bread, but obviously we wouldn't expect a 2-year-old, although your 2-year-old,
my 2-year-old would eat 4 slices of bread a day
without any problem at all. But we're talking about a reasonable gluten load, and we do know in those that have gastrointestinal symptoms that if we grade that up a little bit more slowly, that the tolerance is better. And
sorry, what do you mean by that? So
you wouldn't go straight from eating no gluten to eating 4 slices of $2 from the supermarket bread, which actually gives a lot of people gastrointestinal symptoms anyway. We might grade that up with crackers or some plain sweet biscuits, or including some wheat bix for breakfast. So we just grade that up, and so relatively
that 8-week
slowly.
Lead-in time gives enough time to get the gut nice and full of all that beautiful gluten goodness, so that it comes up positive.
And I always temper that with patients. If you get to the point where you absolutely can't take it anymore, let me know and we'll do the bloods anyway. And there is a small percentage of those with celiac disease who will have what we call seronegative celiac disease. So they will have celiac disease, but their serology or their blood work will always return negatively. So there is a cohort of patients, and I see it in my adult world, that we would look to go straight to gastroscopy. And
that must be really hard.
And sort of if it looks and smells and sounds like celiac disease, and the history is really, really supportive, and they can't tolerate maybe going through that 8 weeks or only get part way through it, we will choose to go straight to gastroscopy. And I work with some absolutely amazing gastroenterologists here at McMurray who are very supportive of that dietary review and that dietary recommendation, and we turn up a handful every year.
And so I guess that can be the benefit as well of going to see a dietitian to discuss all of your gastrointestinal issues, so that they can be across it and they can kind of help to make those calls, so it's not left for you and for your GP to decide on. Because I mean, GPs are amazing and they do such a great jobs, but they're jacks of all trades,
and they have 10 minutes,
and the dietitian can be your specialized.
Well, sometimes too, given the vast array of presentations of celiac disease. I recall one adult patient who pretty much had all the sort of the weird and wonderful nondescript symptoms and she'd been to all sorts of specialists all over her life, but because they'd been very sort of diverse symptoms, it had been really hard to pull all of that together. And so sometimes it's sort of really looking outside the box, but trying to get that diagnosis.